We're back. Technical difficulties this morning. I don't know what happened, but we're here. It's day 13. And if you are live with us, say hello. Join in the conversation. If you're watching the replay, let us know. Say hello. Where are you from? What day is this for you? And we're going to jump right in. I apologize for those that were on earlier with our technical difficulties. Took a while to get it back, but we're here. Must be something good in store. So let's get started. Day 13. Our topic today is the hardest person to forgive. Who might that be? The person you see in the mirror? So take a deep breath with me. Reset yourself if you need to, like I do right now. Inhale grace and exhale the hustle and the bustle. All the things that we need to release. Have you ever noticed how much easier it is to extend grace to someone else rather than yourself? How we can even forgive for some of the hard things. And, especially as women, I can speak for women. We bend, we twist, giving people grace. But when it comes to us, we're really hard on ourselves. Think about why that might be. When a friend calls you, heartbroken because maybe she's even saying sorry to you or he. Maybe you lost your temper with the kids or with at your job. Maybe it's, a mistake at work you made and you're just really hard on yourself, or a decision you made 20 years ago and you're still like, man, this affected my family. This affected, my relationship with my husband, my cousin, my mom, my children. Give yourself a break. Give yourself some grace. I say that a lot to myself and to others because oftentimes we are hardest on ourselves. We wrap our friends in compassion, our loved ones, even strangers, and we remind them of their worth. Oh, it's okay. But how are you talking to yourself in those moments? What happens when it's you that needs the forgiveness from you? Not from somebody else, but from you. Whether you're the one who stumbles and had the issue, or it was just, sometimes I think about now, especially as a mother, I think about how I need to forgive myself for the things I didn't know in that time, right? The things that I didn't know any better. But now that I know better, I'm like, oh, that was, not good. Or, oh, I learned something I could have done better. Well, what can you do about that? It's that internal dialogue that we have, you know, um, with ourselves sometimes. Um, that voice, that gentle voice sometimes. It could be gentle and harsh at the same time. Or is it that internal harsh dialogue? Critical, sometimes relentless, sometimes just over the top, right? So we often become our own judge, our own jury, and make a whole decision about it, right? It's not, you know, no forgiveness in it. We lock ourselves into our own prisons, which is, when you think about it, is really bad, right? Because we have enough to deal with outside in the world. But that's why we're working on our own hearts in this 21 days. Um, regrets, um, growth opportunities that we miss, people that we allowed in our space that maybe we shouldn't have, knowing and not knowing, right? So today we're going to talk about Yesterday we talked about freedom, and this is a different level of freedom. Freedom from yourself, freedom from the shackles that we put on ourselves, those chains that we continue to wrap ourselves with year after year about some things. Um, some of them feel impossible, just bigger than you. And don't be afraid, or don't miss the opportunity to get help from a therapist, from a psychiatrist, from a coach, from a pastor, from whatever resources that God has given you. Because forgiving yourself, it may be the hardest thing to do, but it's one of the most important things to do. So our scripture today comes from 1 John chapter 3, verse 19. And I want you to really let these words sink into your spirit as I read them. Um, this then is how we know that we belong to the truth, and how we set our hearts at rest in his presence. If our hearts condemn us, we know that God is greater than our hearts, and he knows everything. If our hearts condemn us, so sometimes we can carry things in our heart that will be very heavy and cause a lot of destruction because we're carrying it around. It becomes hard and a part of us almost. But does that resonate with you at all? Something that you carry that's just heavy in your heart, maybe from years ago, that you should have done, you shouldn't have done, that you could have done a different way, or however it is. When it feels like your heart is just heavy with that. Anytime that situation comes up, um, is a big failure or a big consequence, deep regrets, all those things. It's heavy, isn't it? But you have those whispers that tell you you should have known better. You should have been stronger. You knew that wasn't right. You knew he wasn't right. You knew she wasn't right. And you continued even when you found out. You should have done more. You should have done something different. All of those things is just self-condemnation. And it's one of the clever yokes that we talked about, those chains that keep us burning. We talked about perfectionism yesterday, and people pleasing, and um, the refusal to forgive yourself is the toxic glue that holds all of that together, right? And we have to make a decision, because it's a choice to let it go. You beat yourself up for letting someone down, all those things, right? We can pull up all kind of things, but it's the people pleaser in you that says, dang, I should have did this, I should have did that. But we have to believe God. God has forgiven us. Do you believe God has forgiven you for those things that we haven't forgiven ourselves for? Do you truly believe that? That's something we need to search in our heart. We sing the songs, we say the phrases, but do you really believe it? Do you really believe that he's forgiving you, so that you can forgive yourself and move on? Um, so oftentimes when it comes to ourselves, we harbor this secrets, especially those things we feel we can't or we don't want to talk to people about. And some things you don't need to. It's just between you and God and maybe a therapist. Those stubborn things that won't allow you to give yourself grace. We hold ourselves to a high standard for perfection that God never asked us for. He didn't expect us to be perfect. And I want to propose today that, you give yourself some grace, because refusing to forgive yourself is actually normally involves a little bit of pride, some form of pride. Um, because when we refuse to let go of our own mistakes, we insist on pushing ourselves for something, or punishing ourselves for something that God already covered. we're essentially saying that our judgment is more accurate than his. When he's let it go, even the horrible things, whatever you consider horrible, we're saying that our standards are higher than his, which is ridiculous. We're saying that the blood of Jesus that covered us was powerful enough to cleanse the world, but hit a brick wall when it came to this specific failure. When you think about it that way, it's like, okay, I need to let this go. If the holy, perfect God, creator of the universe, has looked at your mess, all of it, looked at my mess, let's talk about my mess, my sins, my decisions that weren't good, even when I didn't know better, the regrets. When I think about all of that, he has washed it clean, sacrificed his son, declared me not guilty in that courtroom that we created for ourselves. So who are you to stand up in the courtroom and allow your heart to say, I don't deserve to be forgiven? Overrule his verdict. That's what we're doing when we don't forgive ourselves. Who are we to pick up the gravel and sentence ourselves to a life of regret, a life of sadness, a life of woulda, coulda, shoulda, all those things? Living in just a state of self condemnation. It doesn't make you more holy, it doesn't make you more worthy. It just keeps you in this prison that you create for yourself. Doesn't mean you're more humble because, oh, I'm so sorry. Okay, now what are you going to do going forward? What are you going to do from today? It keeps you trapped in that area. It keeps you from being able to love somebody else. Because when you're not forgiving yourself, you're not loving yourself on the level that you should. Keeping yourself paralyzed, sabotages future relationship, things, jobs. Have you ever made a mistake at work and just been like, I can't apply for that job because 13 years ago, and I'm being dramatic, I made a mistake. You can't embrace the new thing, the new opportunity, which God has prepared for you. But it's your choice to step into it. And let's be real for a second. Self forgiveness can be ugly. It's pulling up all those things that you don't want to think about. But sometimes you need to pull them up because you're still carrying them, right? You can't just ignore it. It means standing face to face. And I do this mirror work in my coaching program, standing face to face with yourself after those moments of betrayal, after the choices I made in weakness and just intentionally because I decided to do what I wanted to do. Being defiant, being disobedient, maybe just not knowing, and then later found out that was ridiculous, right? Why did I do this? But I didn't know any better. I was going off of what I believe someone told me or whatever. The things that hurt me, the people that I allowed in my space when maybe I didn't know it intentionally, and maybe I did, and I still continue forgiving yourself for the things that you didn't know that you're punishing yourself for, and it might have landed you exactly where you are. That's why I'm in this job because I should have finished school, but I was messing up. That's why I got this illness because they told me to do X, Y, and Z, and I didn't, and now I'm sick, and I'm just, or I got this ailment, or whatever it is, this relationship, whatever it is. Moments of just low character. I used to be really hard on myself about things that I knew better and I still did it. Like you knew better and you still did it. Those things that you want to just erase from your mind, but you need to forgive yourself for. Acknowledging them actually takes courage. It actually takes courage to look in the mirror and say, this is what I did. And this is why I did it. Because I wanted it fast, because I just wanted somebody, and it didn't matter that I didn't know. I didn't, he or she wasn't the best. Um, but you can't forgive yourself for things you won't acknowledge and take full accountability for. Um, and you can just It doesn't have to be, some formal thing that you need to do. You can, um, like again, you cannot forgive what you don't acknowledge and come clean about why you did it. Like I didn't know, or I did know, and I wanted it, and it wasn't what I thought it was. That kind of honesty is uncomfortable, even with yourself. It requires you to look at your choices, eye in eye, the good, the bad, the ugly, the downright ugly, and take ownership of those things. Yep, I did it. And I did it knowingly, I did it unknowingly, I did it because of this. Um, I was disobedient. I thought I was being obedient. I didn't know what I was supposed to be doing. Um, no blame shifting. I did it because so and so put me in this position. I made that decision. Take all the blame for it so that you can totally forgive yourself and remove the outside sources that may have influenced you, but not glossing over the reasons or the pain, because some of that stuff was out of your control and a result of what happened. But just you, open before God, trusting that He already knows and loves you anyway. This exercise is for you. God already knows. The scripture says that um, He desires to set our hearts at rest in His presence. So He's there, He's right there with you, not in turmoil, not in anxiety, not in guilt, but at rest so you can have peace. Anybody else looking for peace? Open for peace? He is greater than the mistakes. He knows everything already, right? He knew you would make the mistake before you made it. But it's His plan of redemption that's already in place. So if you're ready for that, do the work, do the exercise. It's time for us to agree in accountability in this 21 days where we're making our hearts new, where we have chosen to say, okay, I'm going to deal with the issues of my heart. I'm going to deal with my heart posture. And it's time to stop punishing the very person He has already redeemed, yourself. Because this hard work is really about you. Yeah, there's things that people have done. Some are sorry for it and some aren't. And we need to forgive them. But let's start with forgiving ourselves and make this a habit, because we're human and things are going to happen. Things are going to come up. Some bad decisions may be made. Give yourself some grace. Don't build a house and stay there and continue to in the mess. But it's time to let yourself off the hook. You were never even meant to be on the hook, right? So this brings us to our journaling prompt for today. I want you to just find a quiet space where you in the bathroom, in the mirror, in the car, looking at your phone. I don't, whatever, however you can do to have some one-on-one time with yourself. Do you make one-on-one meetings with yourself? Whether it's long baths or quiet walks or sitting still, do you have one-on-one meetings with yourself, or is that just me? I literally talk out loud, but do it however you need to do it, because releasing it sometimes when you hear yourself sometimes, and there's been times, this is a different exercise that I throw in. Sometimes I'll record myself. As much as I don't like hearing myself talk, I'll record myself and then I'll play it back as if it's talking to me. I'll talk to myself and I'll play it back as if I'm talking to myself. That's my exercise of forgiveness, the mirror and a recording. But whatever you need to do, open up your journal if you have your journal, or your notebook that you're using. Um, if you chose to use the notes on your phone, and just be really honest with yourself. I need to forgive myself for this thing. And this is why I did it. I was being selfish. I was lonely. I was tired. I just needed to get something done. I thought that was the best thing to do, and instead of waiting, you know. So I want you to answer this question. What is one thing or regret that you're still punishing yourself for. Just one, because we some of us can make a list. But just work on one thing. Don't filter it. Don't whitewash it. Don't soften it. Write it down. Even if you tear it up and throw it away because you don't want nobody to see it afterwards. Name it. Put a name on it. This is the thing. It loses its power when it's dragged into the light. So we cover things. We cover it. It's a secret. Nobody needs to know. I don't even want to think about it. And maybe nobody needs to know. But you need to not only think about it, not to punish yourself, but to release it, right? So write it down, name it, because it loses power when you address it. In my voice matters book, at the end of the book, I wrote a letter to the stutter. I gave it a name, and I said, I never wanted you in my life. Like I just really released that thing, because when you speak to it, it loses power. When you drag it to the light, it loses power. And then right underneath that, write down 3 things you would say to a close friend who came to you with the exact same struggle. Because we give other people so much grace. It's been times when people talk to me about things that I'm currently going through, and then I'm like, God is pouring out for me words for me to give them, and then I realize that wasn't only for them, that was for me. What would you say to the close friend or whoever came to you with the exact same situation that you are forgiving of yourself? Would it be words of compassion, truth? Sometimes it's tough love, like, yeah, you was wrong. Like, don't ever do that again. But give yourself some grace. This is the steps I would do to, help this situation. What grace would you offer her or him or them? Finally, the last thing, look at, what you wrote. Um, how can you apply that same compassion to yourself? Starting right now. Not I'm gonna start on Monday, I'm gonna start on the first, I'm gonna, whatever it is, I'm gonna start after I do X. No, how can you apply that compassion to yourself right now? And this might feel a little uncomfortable, but I promise you it's powerful. It has worked for me and I have seen it work for others. Find that mirror today. Look yourself in the eyes and really, look past those tired expressions, those, oh, I'm still carrying this thing, that heaviness, that critical glance, like, you was wrong. And, that's why you're in the situation you're in. You know, have anyone ever said that to you, or have you ever said that to anybody else? Consequences are, a real thing, but just start there for a moment, one on one with yourself. I forgive you, Kelley. And put your name there. I forgive you, Kelley, for this specific mistake. God has forgiven you, He has given you grace and mercy. It's available to you if you want it. Like, why haven't you? So, do you want to suffer? Are you choosing to suffer? God has washed you clean today, right now. If you want to be clean, you can. So we don't have to, and I started making us like we sisters, a team or something. We don't have to carry this anymore. We don't have to do this. We don't have to keep saying we're sorry to somebody else or to ourselves. You said it already. Forgive. If they can't forgive you, that's now their problem. But because you can't forgive you, that's your problem. Now we're not going to carry after today. I choose to agree with Him. I choose to agree with God and allow Him to break those yokes. And when I walk away from this mirror, you are released from that. You don't have to carry that anymore. Don't do it again, but you don't have to carry that anymore. And feel the weight of that. Feel the release of that. You are not your own mistake. You are a child of God, redeemed and set free. Yesterday we said that, He didn't pardon us. He released us. He didn't just excuse us, but we got all these, things to still carry when we get out and figure out when we get out. No, he literally liberated us. He didn't pardon us. And if you feel comfortable enough, you can repeat those words in your heart just over and over and over and over and over until you receive it. Because it doesn't matter how you feel, but it's literally holding you back. If you have the journal, purchase the journal for the 21 day. There's a powerful prayer for today. Read that prayer and then write your own prayer, to help me release this grip that I have on myself. If that's continuing to cause me pain from yesterday's mistakes. Maybe it was today. I hand it all over to you. The offense, the hurt, the regret, the injustice. Clear out all the bitterness, all the shame, all the self condemnation. So there is room for that new thing that you're creating in me right now. I receive it and set my heart to rest today. So, lastly, I just want to repeat to give yourself some grace today and ongoing. You are not always going to show up perfectly. We talked about that yesterday, right? You're not going to get it right every time. And that's okay. Give yourself some grace, but don't build a house there. Well, I already did it. I may as well keep doing it. No, that's not what we're doing in this season. Instead, choose to be intentional about how you move forward. Stop and think. There's some decisions, a lot of decisions now. I want to say yes right away, or I want to say no right away. Instead, I was like, I'll call you back tomorrow. Give me 24 hours to sleep on it, think about it, pray on it, whatever. Stop dwelling on the things that you cannot change. Learn to give those things to God. And instead, choose to be intentional about the thing, take that time to think about it before you move forward and think about what you can learn from it, the good and the bad. Draw that line down the middle of the paper. If I do this, this is what's good. This might be some opportunities for growth, but I can learn from this. I need to do this so I can learn or move to the next level. Make intentional decisions. It's time out for just jumping all over the place. We have purpose. We want to be in alignment. Stop all the distractions and the derailments, right? How you proceed is on you. Every choice is a chance to grow or a chance to learn. Let it be in a good way. So today, give yourself grace. Step into freedom. Keep your eyes on what's ahead. Often we're looking at what happened before and all that those things. Let's move forward. We've learned from those things, intentionally learn, and give yourself grace to step right into what you need to do today. I hope this was helpful for today. Um, Drop some nuggets that you might have received. We had to fight to get here this morning. I don't know what happened, but it took like 45 minutes for my computer to act right. So I knew that God had a word for us today, a word for me and a word for you. So I invite you to show up, be intentional, and expect great things. And don't forget to give yourself some grace. Have a wonderful day. I will see you tomorrow for day 14.